Now, he's done it many times before, that he will wipe Israel off the face of the earth no later than the year 2040. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, the theocratic dictator of Iran, sent out a tweet today that Israel would not survive 25 more years. I'll quote it verbatim. Firstly, you will not see 25 years, God willing. There will be nothing left of the Zionist regime by the next 25 years. Secondly, until then, struggling, heroic, jihadi morale will leave no moment of serenity for Zionists, he tweeted. The so-called supreme leader added a message for the great Satan, that would be us, the United States, when he said that the Obama administration's assertion that the U.S. will be able to use nuclear inspections under the Iranian deal to find out more about Iran's nuclear programs, he said the Americans would remain barred from the country. So we're about to give this homicidal maniac, radical Islamic jihadist, we're about to give this modern-day Hitler that wants to destroy Israel and every Jew in sight, we are about to give him $150 billion, the equivalent of $8 trillion US dollars. We are going to allow him to continue to build his intercontinental ballistic missiles so that when he eventually gets a nuclear weapon, and according to Obama, in 11 years, there's zero outbreak time. In other words, they have the weapon in 11 years. Probably much sooner, but that's what they say. That means that that weapon on an ICBM, which is allowed to continue under this deal, can reach the continental United States. Do you doubt the people that refer to us as the great Satan would ever use that weapon? So they get the $150 billion. They get to continue their ICBM missile program to deliver the weapon. They get a deal for missile defense that they just signed with Russia in case the Israelis feel a national security need to take out these facilities even without us. Then, of course, on top of this, they get to build up their conventional weapons. And then you can add to that the 24-day forced inspections where not only do they get 24 days notice so they can clean up whatever nefarious activities they're involved in. Then the inspectors, you would think, okay, well, they're from the U.S., right? Wrong. Well, then you would think that the inspectors are from the UN, right? The IAEA. Wrong. No, the Iranians get to pick their own inspectors. So that's not going to work either. So we're pretty much guaranteed the rise of conventional weapons for conventional warfare. They spin their centrifuges so they can build their nuclear weapons, zero outbreak time according to Obama in 11 years, and then on top of that they get to continue their missile program, and in the missile program that means they can deliver those nuclear weapons not only to Israel but probably to the continental United States with the help of Russia, China, and all these other countries that hate our guts as well. And this is what our president has now given the world: a less safe, a less secure America for your kids and your grandkids. There's a simple formula here. I keep telling you, 1 + 1 = 2. Simple mathematical formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Homicidal, maniacal mullahs in Iran committed to radical jihadism, married to weapons of mass destruction, equals a modern-day Holocaust. And what part of never again have we forgotten? Because that is almost, you know, as Dick Cheney said, this nuclear deal will enable Iran to eradicate Israel in 1 day. 1 day. Do you doubt these maniacs are capable of this? Because if you doubt it, you don't understand radical Islamic jihad. You don't understand evil in your time. If you doubt evil exists, 100 million human souls died in the last century alone. Communism, fascism, Nazism. Go through the horror, the death, the demise, the evil that took place in the last 100 years. This president is now ensured that this is going to happen. And you've got Republicans that are so spineless that they don't even want to fight. Only 21% of the American people support this idiocy. Now, I give all credit to Senator Ted Cruz and the Tea Party Patriots and And, you know, God bless Cruz, he invited Donald Trump. Not exactly conventional politics, but he knows Trump would draw a crowd, and he brought him. And Trump, to his credit, went. And Palin was there, and the Tea Party was there, and my buddy Levin, I understand, was there, and others. Even Leon Panetta said, the Iran deal is awful. If you pass it, prepare for war. Okay, war at what point? War at what point? The sad thing is that I don't have confidence, because this deal can be stopped. There is a way out of this. There's certain powers that Congress has. They do not need to take up this deal. Number one, we don't even know what the full deal is, because we haven't been told what is in the deal. There was a meeting, almost a political mutiny going on among House Republicans, especially the House Freedom Caucus. Jim Jordan, Congressman Mark Meadows will join us later. Ted Cruz will join us later on this program today. We'll debate this issue. But anyway, they confronted Boehner and the leadership this morning, and Boehner said to reporters, oh, we had a very healthy conversation with our members, you think? Anyway, so you have some Republicans that are part of the House Freedom Caucus, in other words, the few conservatives that are part of the Republican House these days. They're proposing a resolution that states that the president has failed to meet his obligation and disclose all the information about this horrific, evil Iranian deal. Now, this resolution comes after reports of all these side deals between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency that we have not been told about. And what they are arguing, and I agree with them 100%, because this would torpedo this deal, at least legally. That doesn't mean the president's going to do the right thing about it, but the Corker-Cardin deal, and I warned you this was a bad idea, because this is a treaty. We still have a Constitution. The Constitution is our foundation. Our laws are built upon that Constitution. Anyway, the Constitution says that a treaty has to be approved by 2/3 of the Senate. So there was no need for Corker and Cardin to reduce that number to 33 or 34. So anyway, but part of the Corker-Cardin deal, where it was, I think it was 34 is the number, you would have otherwise needed 2/3 vote to approve this deal, because it's a treaty. Anyway, so I'm watching what they're saying here, and I think they're absolutely right. And that is, the president has failed to disclose the full contents of what is in this Iranian deal. That means that the Corker-Cardin side deal, that means that it is literally an act of, it would be an illegal act for this president to lift sanctions. And what Ted Cruz, I think, rightfully said, is that if it's illegal at that point, now you have to anticipate that the president, who's not paid much mind to obeying the rule of law in the past, that if the House passed the resolution saying that the president hasn't followed the law by not disclosing the contents of the side deals, therefore the president doesn't have the authority to implement the Iranian agreement, Obama's probably going to move ahead anyway, right? And in many ways, that's exactly the point that conservatives have been making, that we have a lawless president and the Iranian deal should be nullified because Obama didn't follow the law, the Corker-Cardin bill. Well, then at that point, then the onus goes on the banks and financial institutions and whether they're going to release that money. And one of the points Ted Cruz is making, no, they don't get a get-out-of-jail-free card. Just because the president does something that's lawless doesn't mean that they can. Now, it might not seem like the best course. The best course would be to have a president and a Congress that understood the nature of evil in our time, but that's not happening. So the least we can ask is McConnell and Boehner to fight on this front. Another thing McConnell can do is he can bring it up as a treaty and have a vote in the U.S. Senate as a treaty, because that's what this is, a treaty. But I don't know if they're going to do that either. So, we've got McConnell and Boehner, for the most part, pulling the same bunch of bull crap that they've handed us all these other times. Show votes on repealing and replacing Obamacare. Show votes on they didn't even have a show vote on repealing illegal, unconstitutional executive amnesty. But there are things that Boehner and McConnell can do. The law requires that Obama hand over the entire deal. He has not done so. So at that point, if the president goes ahead and says he's going to release the money, he has, by definition, broken the law, and they need to fight and tell him that. That's their job. And stop ceding legislative power and authority back to the executive branch like the Corker-Cardin bill did in the first place. Do you understand how serious this is? Does anybody know history? Does anyone know the history of Stalin, Russia, Hitler, Nazi Germany, fascism? Go Google how many people were murdered in the last century. When I wrote my book, Deliver Us from Evil, I researched all of it. In all of its horror, in all of its